Hey, just letting you guys know, the next few videos are all sponsored by Star Trek Fleet Command. If you want to play a really neat MMO-style, RTS-style game on mobile or on PC, please consider clicking the link that is in the description below or in the pinned comment. We also happen to have an alliance. We are on server 79, and we're all building our bases in the Patton System. So if you want to actually be around us, we are all building around here as we speak and playing a little bit on stream as well, helping building each other's resources up. So please consider hitting the link in the description, and thank you very much. So a while back, I did a video responding to a YouTube channel called Live Action. They made a video that was pro-choice men talking about why they're pro-choice. It was a bunch of straw men. Apparently, the actual YouTube channel, whoever runs the PR shit for their YouTube channel, responded to my video in the comment section below. And while I do appreciate the engagement, they linked a video down there that apparently I need to pay attention to. And the video is called The Pro-Life Reply to Abortion Can Be Medically Necessary. Now, when I say the statement, abortion can be medically necessary, that's not a controversial statement for most people. At least it shouldn't be. Considering that, at the end of the day, we can think of at least a few scenarios in which an abortion can be medically necessary. We can. It's not a super difficult thing to conceive. But apparently, it is never medically necessary, according to this video. We'll check into it here in a second. But before that, let's go ahead and get into the fan art section. This one is from the Mini Ace. They said, not totally happy with the shading, but I don't know. I think the shading is perfectly fine in this lovely slime Suris. The next one we have is from Kira Sakura. Said ended up changing the idea somewhat. So we have Virgin Killer Sweater Suris being faced down by Timer-kun. Can I get Timer-kun's in chat? Since we're already here. And we're going to be doing another subathon here in a bit, I guess. So we might as well go ahead and get Timer-kun's in chat since we're here. Oh, god damn it, Silver J. Of course, we begin the episode with Silver J dropping enough fucking points. You could do so many things with those points. You could cure world hunger. But instead, you decided, like a degenerate, to make me fucking say, oh, whoa, with your 50,001 channel point. See? Even Growlith is upset. Even she's not happy with this scenario. The next bit of fan art that we have here is from Ink, or Inky Gal, depending on where you happen to be looking at their artwork. And it is Raz's older avatar design, and then my Virgin Killer Sweater avatar design, back to back. Flaming Unicorn Inferno, thank you for redeeming your points for an ara, you fucking monster. Jesus Christ. None of you deserve rights. Blue Cat Shadow with the Blue Cat Shadow comes in with a 50,001 channel points. Say it again, bitch. Damn it. Blue Cat, I'll have you know there is a cold place in hell waiting for you. And anybody that is on that accursed, terrible team trying to make me say, oh, well, fuck off. Fuck right off. Dark Warrior Son, thank you for being on the right side of history with an oh, well. Thank you for being objectively correct. But we do have this fan art from Ink, and it is... So, the video with 157,000 views. The pro-life reply to abortion can be medically necessary. Okay, let's go ahead and see what they have to say here.
It is often said that abortion is sometimes medically necessary to protect the life or the health of the mother. This is simply not true.
All right. So abortion is sometimes medically necessary, is simply not true, according to Kendra Kolb, MD, who is a neonatologist. Now, who is Kendra Kolb, I wonder? I'm not super familiar with her, but let's go ahead and take a look. Thank you very much for redeeming your Hydrate Flaming Unicorn Inferno. Let's see here. Yeah, this seems to be the right person here. Dr. Kendra Kolb. She's a neonatologist in Pennsylvania. She received her medical degree from Drexel University and has been in practice between 6 to 10 years. Specialties in neonatal medicine, They're pediatricians who treat newborns, especially those born prematurely. Well, that doesn't sound like somebody who performs abortions. That doesn't sound like somebody who does anything where this is concerned. I mean, treating prematurely born children, I mean, that's commendable, but okay. So maybe not necessarily in the area of expertise we care about, but let's go ahead and continue.
As a neonatologist, I am regularly consulted to advise mothers with high-risk pregnancies, and I routinely care for their babies.
Okay.
I have also personally gone through 2 very difficult pregnancies, each requiring hospitalization.
Cool.
So I have great empathy and respect for all women who are pregnant, especially those with difficult or high-risk pregnancies.
Okay, but none of that qualifies the statement, abortion is never medically necessary. So here's the claim is abortion is never medically necessary. She now has to substantiate that claim.
What women deserve to know, however, is that even in the most high-risk pregnancies, there is no medical reason why the life of the child must be directly and intentionally ended with an abortion procedure.
There is no medical... In chat, I'm just curious, can y'all maybe brainstorm? A couple of scenarios where an abortion could be medically necessary? I can think of a few. I forget what the actual condition is, but there's conditions where you have like a deformed uterus, and if you actually have a pregnancy, it will result in your death. Death by internal hemorrhaging, that's a thing that can happen. Miscarriage where the fetus doesn't discharge, blood clots, health of the mother. Health of the mother's an interesting one. Let's actually go ahead and see here. Let's look at the definitions of medical necessity real quick. Is there a type of pregnancy where the fetus is outside the womb? Yes, but they don't count those. I know they don't count those because they've mentioned those in the actual... They've mentioned those on their responses to my stuff. Suicidal ideation, that would be one here. So let's see here. Cigna's definition of medical necessity for physicians. For the purpose of evaluating, diagnosing, or treating an illness, injury, or disease, or its symptoms. Illness, injury, or disease. So this automatically does actually cover mental health then. This automatically does cover mental health. Because mental health would be considered an illness. Like bipolar is an illness. Depression is an illness. So if you having a pregnancy, if you actually going through with one will exacerbate that and potentially increase suicidal ideation, then that would actually be treating an illness at that point. But, you know, cancer. Yes, you can have ovarian cancer, and that can make carrying children be a very nasty prospect. Or you could just have cancer in general and need chemotherapy to survive, and a pregnancy would mean that you have 9 months with no chemotherapy, and this could increase your chance of actually, you know, fucking dying. That is also an option here. In accordance with generally accepted standards of medical practice, abortion is considered a medical procedure, so it already clears that. Clinically appropriate in terms of type, frequency, extent, site, and duration. Again, abortion is considered a medical procedure, so it clears 2 and 3. Not primarily for the convenience of the patient, healthcare provider, or other physicians or healthcare providers. Now, there is a straw man that all abortions are just there for convenience, that people use them for a type of birth control. And I can understand the concerns here. I also don't care. I don't. If somebody feels like they need EB, thank you so much for the raid. But yeah, no, situations like rape or incest would be other situations where I think an abortion could be necessary. There's plenty of situations one can conceive of where they are necessary. So we talked about other topics similar, but thank you for the heads up. Awesome, awesome. And then let's see here, not more costly than an alternative service or sequence of services. So when it comes to medical sequence of services, it's very hard to quantify the cost here, but I would say that it definitely does clear 5. Abortion clears every single thing here when it comes to the criterion for medical necessity. So let's go ahead and go back to the video itself. The claim in the video: there is no medical reason why the life of the child must be directly and intentionally ended with an abortion procedure. There are plenty of scenarios in which these are medically necessary. I have dated people who have had to have medical abortions. But let's continue.
In situations where the mother's life is truly in jeopardy, her pregnancy must end and the baby must be delivered.
I already have an issue here. So if a mother is sitting at week 5, week 6, and they are currently pregnant, you don't do a preterm delivery at that point. You don't do a fucking delivery at 6 fucking weeks. Yet there are scenarios where it is dangerous for that fetus to be there for that amount of time. Moreover, if they're going to try to argue that, well, there's a chance we could save the kid. Well, there's a chance the kid could also fucking kill the mother. There's a chance for a lot of things. It's up to the mother to figure out how they want to roll that die. Darth Crystal, thank you for redeeming your points for an owl. Owl.
These situations occur in cases of mothers who develop dangerously high blood pressure, have decompensating heart disease, life-threatening diabetes, cancer, or a number of other very serious medical conditions.
Okay. And also serious medical conditions like depression. Depression counts as a medical condition. It is a chemical imbalance in the brain. Various other mental illnesses would count as well. And you can exacerbate those and the person's suicidality by forcing them to have the child. Oh shit, we do have an our armistice. You're right. Sorry. Oh woes are not oh woes. They are araras. I'm sorry. I completely forgot about the armistice.
Some babies do need to be delivered before they are able to survive outside of the womb, which occurs around 22 to 24 weeks of life.
So, hold on. The claim is that abortion is never medically necessary, but the only examples that are being given are after the 22-week mark? I'm sorry, what? There seems to be several weeks of these pregnancies that are just not being accounted for.
These situations are considered a preterm delivery and not an abortion.
Okay, cool. But what about when they are younger than 22 weeks? You literally didn't account for that. You literally have a giant chunk of time not accounted for here.
These babies deserve to be treated with respect and compassion, and parents should be given the opportunity to honor their child's life. The fact that every year thousands of abortion procedures are done on babies that are the same gestational age.
Okay, hold on. 23 weeks. This is the point that they're giving us. Hold on. How many abortions happen at 23 weeks? Because if memory serves, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but hold on. Here we go. Here, frequency of late-term abortions. Truth about late-term abortions. Let's take a look. Actually, there's a more non-biased one right here. Late-term abortions and medical necessity. Oh, that's not a non-biased one. I know this paper. I am very familiar with this paper. I know this one. This is actually where fucking a lot of this information comes from, is from this paper right here. I'm going to go ahead and link it in chat if you guys want to read it. But this is not what I would consider to be an actual good source here. If you want to read a very biased paper, this would be one of them. This would be one of them. Let's go ahead and look at a source that I know that I'm like 99% certain that they would say is biased here, but I just don't care. So that's all they can muster, and it's one of them. It's one of the papers here. So let's go ahead. They said that these are never necessary. Let's go ahead and take a look at this paper here from Planned Parenthood and see what the other side of the aisle says about this. Various factors require women to have abortions after the first trimester. Barriers to service, provider shortage. There are financial reasons for that. And financial reasons are not a matter of convenience. If you think that not being able to afford a child is only a matter of convenience, that's not a convenience thing. That's like a your life gets crippled type thing. Medical indications affecting the pregnancy may also lead to abortions after 12 weeks. After 12 weeks? Oh, that's so weird. Almost as if abortions happen before the 23-week mark. So why are we only talking about the 23-week mark? That feels real weird. That feels very strange. In Planned Parenthood of Center, Missouri, The Supreme Court recognized the judgments of viability are inexact and may vary with each pregnancy. As a result, it granted the attending physician the right to ascertain viability on an individual basis. In addition, the court rejected as unconstitutional fixed gestational limits for determining viability. The court reaffirmed these rulings in the 1979 case, Colati versus Franklin. Oh boy. Almost as if these things need to be handled on a case-by-case basis and cannot be handled with broad sweeping statements like all pregnancies happen at the 23-week mark or some shit. Can't let reality get in the way of a good argument? Yep. What I was trying to find was the actual source on frequency of late-term abortions. Let's see here. I don't care about your offers, Wapo. I don't. Fuck you then. Democracy dies in darkness, and I'm not spending money on your fucking website, so I guess it died. I guess democracy died. Sorry. Let's see here. Abortions on or after 21 weeks are uncommon and represent 1% of all abortions in the United States. Typically, these procedures cost well over $1,000, excluding cost of travel and lost wages. They normally require treatment over multiple days and are often performed by a subset of all abortion providers. Yeah, so introduction abortions occurring at or after the 21 weeks are very rare. They are difficult to obtain. They're typically costly. They're time intensive and only performed by a small subset of abortion providers. So what's actually happening here then? Well, what's happening here is Live Action, in making their argument about abortion carte blanche, they are using a straw man. They are using a type of abortion that only exists in 1% and fewer, because they're talking about 23 weeks and our other data is talking about 21 weeks. MC Poto, thank you for redeeming your points for what is actually an ara, because the armistice is in play. They are talking about abortion carte blanche, sweeping generalization, but the examples provided account for only 1%, if not less, of abortions that actually happen. So what actually happens when you fall for this kind of propaganda? Well, if you are watching their video and you take it, internalize it, and you go, yes, this is representative of all abortions, now we end up writing policy based on something that only occurs 1% of the time, but will affect people who do the other 99%. Like, they want to affect everyone who can possibly get an abortion by using an argument that is only really representative of a small percentage. This is not how you fairly represent your case. This is not how you do so. But let's continue.
As many of the babies I routinely care for is something that very deeply and profoundly disturbs me as a physician. These babies move, breathe, can cry, hear, and feel pain. Okay, and I don't care. So here's the thing. This is an emotional argument. This is an appeal to emotion. They're going to try to do the whole, like, brutal, look at them destroying this baby bit by bit. That's what they're going to do, okay? It is an emotional appeal. It is meant to appeal to your heartstrings. You think, oh my God, that poor child, they are feeling so much. The best thing to do in a situation like that is to point out that this is an emotional argument, not a logical one, and ask, why should I care? My case here, my position is largely, why should I care? If their rebuttal would be something like, well, what if it were your child? Well, it's not. So why should I care? Like, I care about other people's children, but this is not what I would consider a child yet. Then again, I'm perfectly fine entertaining the hypothetical that this is a person. I have an entire video earlier on my channel where I go over the personhood argument. But we're not doing that right now. But if you do want to know what the argument is called when you do grant personhood to a fetus at every stage, then please see the violinist argument. The second trimester dilation and evacuation procedure, or D&E, involves dismembering the baby by tearing off his or her arms and legs and crushing their bodies and skulls even while they are still alive.
Isn't that just so horrifying? I mean, look at that. Look at this thing that happens in a fraction of a percentage of people. Look at this thing that is incredibly rare, that doesn't really happen all that often, but we have to pretend that this is what all abortions look like to make you freak out. One argument for late-term abortion, the baby has no kidneys, which means they cannot form lungs and will suffocate when born. Would you rather them suffer or have them go nicely? Yep. So it looks like the doll from Toy Story, low-key. Oh, the one that was on, like, robotic legs that Woody, like, defended himself with Buzz's arm against. The second trimester babies don't look like that. I mean, don't expect them to be consistent with their information.
The third trimester induction procedure involves delivering a lethal injection with a large needle into the baby's heart or head.
And why does this matter? So here's the thing. This is not information that is there to convince you that abortion is bad. This is information to give emotional weight for people who already think abortion is bad. Oh no, a large needle went into that child. I guess I'm an anti-vaxxer now? I'm sorry, I don't understand why the needle's supposed to bother me. I don't.
There are also serious safety concerns related to late-term abortions. If a woman's life is imminently in danger...
Hold on, so Ada Senor says this is literally only a thing because anti-choicers banned a perfectly safe procedure that would have left with them with an intact body. Really? I was unaware of that. So wait, is this some 4D chess thing? Is there a source on that? Because if that's the case, then it's literally the 4D chess move of banning the safer procedures, leaving the more dangerous ones, and then using the more dangerous procedures as your argument for why all the procedures are bad.
A preterm delivery is a much safer option. An emergency C-section can be completed in less than an hour, while an abortion after 24 weeks, when the most common life-threatening complications occur, takes 2 to 3 days to complete.
Abortion after 24 weeks. Notice they say this is when the most common life-threatening complications occur. Understandable, but it is not when the most common abortions occur. Even if I were to accept that statement at face value, this is not when most abortions occur. Most abortions occur well before this point. This is a paper written by abortionist Martin Hexel describing the dilation and extraction abortion procedure. The surgical method described in this paper from classical D&E in that it does not rely upon dismemberment to remove the fetus, nor are inductions or infusions used to expel the intact fetus. Rather, the surgeon grasps and removes a nearly intact fetus through the adequately dilated cervix. The author has coined the term dilation and extraction. The procedure can be performed in a properly equipped physician's office under local anesthesia. It can be used successfully in patients 20 to 26 weeks in pregnancy. The author has performed over 700 of these procedures. So this is just a safer method that's less brutal, and yet this one is banned? Okay. Why? Imagine caring so much about people who aren't even born that you just revoke women's rights. Imagine that.
Due to the necessary dilation process, in essence delaying treatment and significantly increasing the risk of death and serious disability to the mother.
Cool. You know what can solve that problem? Getting an abortion sooner. That solves that problem right there. Getting an abortion sooner, using Plan B. Hell, you can even use an abortion pill. That is a thing you can do. That kind of stuff severely solves this problem. Like, you're bitching about a problem that doesn't technically exist because we have ways around it. It's called getting an abortion sooner.
In addition to early delivery as a means of protecting the mother, there are also times when it may be necessary to give a pregnant mother medical treatments which may tragically result in the loss of the baby. However, it is important to understand that these treatments are not abortions.
So if we give you a pill that causes you to lose the child, you don't call that an abortion? Okay. I mean, I'm sure that they would just say this is a miscarriage or some shit. But, like, again, literally, we have a pill that causes an abortion. Does that count for you?
For example, if a pregnant mother has cancer and chooses to undergo chemotherapy, that treatment may result in a miscarriage. However, the treatment given is very different than abortion.
So, okay, but what about a situation which you're probably not going to talk about? What about when a mother has cancer, needs chemotherapy, and then decides to abort? Do you consider that an abortion? do you consider that an abortion? Is that a thing that you consider that? Is that the same thing to you, or is that different?
As the purpose of the chemotherapy is not to kill the child.
Okay, this is just about fucking, this is deontology. This is just deontology. Fuck deontology. The idea that, like, the purpose is a thing, so it must always be that. This is the kind of argument that gets used to say that the purpose of sex is to have kids. The purpose of sex is to have kids, as opposed to the millions of other ways that we can use sex. Just be fucking creative. I'm sure if you have a local munch near you, or perhaps a dominatrix friend, they can tell you many of the things we can use sex for that do not involve popping out children out of your baby cannon. Polyamorous people could maybe explain this as well. I'm not going to. I will not be the polyamorous person to explain this to you. I don't want to explain the birds and the bees to anybody.
Some will also confuse the necessary treatment for an ectopic pregnancy with an abortion. An ectopic pregnancy occurs when a preborn child implants in the mother's fallopian tubes or somewhere outside of the uterus. When a preborn child implants outside of the uterus, it is a hostile environment for the baby in which it cannot survive. And sadly, removing the baby from the fallopian tube or abdominal cavity is necessary, as an ectopic pregnancy will inevitably end in a miscarriage and may threaten the mother's life. These situations are devastating. However, they are not considered abortions.
Okay, why does that matter? This is just explaining a thing that happens, but it does not support the thesis of the video that abortion can be medically necessary. Well, I mean, so it kind of does. This is a cherry pick. So this is saying, aha, look at this one situation in which some people say an abortion is medically necessary, and they go, the baby would have died anyway, so that's not an abortion.
Abortion unnecessarily ends the lives of children and may also result in serious medical and psychological risks to women.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Lilith did bring up a good point. Miscarriages are actually called spontaneous abortion on medical insurance stuff. Like, it is called a spontaneous abortion. They could just be like, aha, look, abortion is never a thing. It's never necessary. Your body literally deciding that it's time to yeetus the fetus. What?
Physicians have an ethical duty to deliver expert care for both patients, the mother and the child.
All right. Sometimes that expert care is looking at the mother and saying, do you want this thing growing in your body? Do you consent to it growing in your body? No? Okay, cool. Then much like with a cancerous tumor, yeet. It doesn't matter if it is alive. If you were strung up to a person in a hospital and you needed, like, they depended on you for their survival, you should not be under legal obligation to stay there the entire time. Yes, they might die, and yes, that would be tragic for the person who would end up dying in this scenario. But what do you value more? Do you value people's bodily autonomy, their rights to their own bodily integrity? Or do you prefer stripping that away when you can keep other people alive? Making no arguments, mind you, to the quality of life they may actually have. Think about this for a scenario. If somebody does not want to be a parent, do you want to force them to be a parent? Oh, and don't tell me they can just adopt. The adoption system is super fucking corrupt. Like, the entire adoption agency is a can of worms. You can't just make that a good choice. You can't. And not everybody wants to be in the scenario where they are forced to carry something in their body for 9 months, which can impact them in several ways, not just psychologically, not just physically, but also financially. Some people's bodies literally cannot handle that and will shut down, and then they will be financially destroyed for the rest of their life. That's a thing that does happen all the time. And yet none of that's important here, because again, it's the number of people alive that matter to people like this, not the quality of the lives they actually live.
A mother's life is...
Oh yeah, also, there are groups of people who are frequently prevented from adopting at all. Do you know what the chances are for me as a polyamorous person being able to adopt? Do you know what the chances are for that? Nightmarishly lower than a just standard cis-het normative couple. Do you know what the chances are for a gay couple adopting? Nightmarishly lower than a standard-ass, you know, cis-het couple. Do you know what the chances are of a trans couple adopting? Very fucking low. But let's go ahead and sing the praises of adoption. Let's just do that. That entire industry that needs severe fucking reform.
Always of paramount importance, but abortion is never medically necessary to protect her life or health.
So they ended on that thesis,
Or health.
but nothing they said in the video actually supported this thesis in a substantial way. They did not talk about any pregnancies that happened before the 23-week mark. They only and exclusively talked about pregnancies after the 23-week mark. There is an entire myriad of pregnancies that were not talked about. There were situations that were not brought up at all. Situations like, oh, I don't know, incest, rape. Oh, by the way, if you don't think that there is any medical necessity to aborting when it comes to an incest baby, then I'm sorry, we need to talk about how bottlenecking of genetics works. I understand that some people might say, well, that's a moral argument against it, not a medical necessity. Fair. We talked about things like ovarian cancer, which they, to their credit, talked about cancer for a very brief amount of time in here, but only insofar as, well, if a baby dies because of chemotherapy, that's not an abortion. Okay, well, what about aborting a child so that you can later have a healthy child when you are not under chemo? Like, that's a fairly normal thing. But where are a lot of these talking points from? They actually are stolen whole cloth from a different video from a person called Lila Rose. The abortion is never medically necessary. I got curious, so I looked up that statement specifically, and I found that all of this was taken from other shit. It's a video that has been shared more than 6,000 times and is currently trending on Facebook, records a part of a speech by Lila Rose at a Young America's Foundation event. In this video, she claims that abortion is not medically necessary. Physicians who evaluated this claim found it to be inaccurate. They explained that there are many medical conditions, such as preeclampsia, HELP syndrome, and placenta previa, in which abortion could become medically necessary to save the life of the mother. Incidentally, abortion is medically defined as a procedure to end a pregnancy. This definition does not change depending on the reasons for the abortion, i.e., whether the procedure is motivated by an unwanted pregnancy or a medical emergency or some other situation has no effect on the medical definition. However, Lila Rose redefines the meaning of abortion to exclude the cases when abortion is medically necessary in order to bolster the claim that abortion is never medically necessary. This is akin to the no true Scotsman fallacy, in which the definition of a word or phrase is modified from the actual meaning to make a point. For example, Rose claims that treating an ectopic pregnancy is not an abortion, even though termination of the pregnancy is the result of the procedure that treats ectopic pregnancies. Oh, holy shit. Almost as if every claim in this video, which is literally just the exact claims made by Lila Rose, are already accounted for by medical professionals that know that this is fucking bullshit. Wow. It's almost like not only do they not have original arguments, as they are recycling the same talking points based solely on their ability to go viral, but on top of that, they get basic ass shit wrong. Lila Rose further comments suggesting that physicians could perhaps do an early delivery if the mother is experiencing preeclampsia, which is not something brought up in the video we looked at. Or she had a very severe condition that you needed to deliver the baby early instead of performing abortion also lacks context so as to be misleading. In order for early delivery to save both the life of the mother and child, the fetus needs to have developed sufficiently so that it stands a chance of surviving outside the womb. This caveat is not mentioned in the video. The comments do not take into account the fact that a fetus may not have reached a sufficient mature gestational age during a maternal pregnancy. In such cases, abortion would be the fastest and safest way to terminate the pregnancy. Ah, yes. Remember, in the video, they explicitly only talked about Abortions happening after the 24-week mark, only after the point of potential viability, and that is it. Why do you think that is the case? Because their argument sounds better when you omit necessary data. Even if you are omitting 99% of abortions, the argument sounds better when you omit that data and only talk about the 1%, because then it sounds like your argument has legs. This is a disgusting twisting of data, but it is the video that Live Action linked to me repeatedly in my comment section for me to look at as evidence that they were correct and I was wrong. And yet, it's all bullshit. If Live Action, since I know you watch my videos, because you did put this in my comment section, if you in fact think that this is a good response to me, if you think that this is worthwhile, maybe you should clarify as to why. I'll probably find you in the comment section defending that at some point. But why would you use information that very specifically ignores 99% of situations where abortions happen? Why would you present that video to me as the video that I should care about? And if you are to do the other thing you did in my comment section, promoting a bunch of your garbage-ass videos in parts of your response because every claim you had needed to be linked back to your own stuff, I guess in a way to drive engagement because at the end of the day, you're a business. If that is a thing that you would do, tell me, why should I give a flying shit what any other videos of yours have in their content if this is the type of content that I can expect from you? If this is the type of evidence that you bring to the table? This is not quality content. This is not something that I think bears any consideration outside of its ability to be laughed at. And yet you provided it to me. So if anything, I can say thank you for the laughs. So long, and thanks for all the fish. So sad that it should come to this. But we tried to warn you all of these years. And with that said, I got to throw it back to you guys in the comment section. If you have any comments on this, quite frankly, garbage-ass video, then let me know in the comment section below. Read if you're cute. Thank you for the follow. I don't think I'm cute. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below over in YouTube land when you get there. If you are not over there already. If you are watching this over on Twitch, the conversation was already happening in the Twitch chat. If you are watching over on my website, hi, how are you doing? Hopefully, wherever you happen to be consuming this content, it finds you well, at least somewhat. If you want to support the channel and what I do, there are plenty of ways to do so in the description. One of the biggest ways you can do so is heading over to cuddlyoctopus/product/Suris if you would like to get a Dakimakura. I know that it is currently very, very cold in a lot of places in the world right now. And this would certainly be a way to stay a little warmer. Giant pillows generally help with that. Though the cringe is certainly strong with this pillow, so, you know, no horny allowed. Yes, only wholesome, only ever wholesome, right? Right, definitely, totally. As always, everybody, if you want to support the channel and what I do, plenty of ways to do so in the description below. And with that being the end of the video, insert end of video tagline here.